The World Wrestling Federation. For over 50 years, the revolutionary force in sports entertainment.
What's our name?
Well, men on the
Are you ready?
Well,
Here we go. Bam, bang, boom. Here we go.
Welcome to the New Generation Mission podcast on the Backbone Wrestling Network. I'm Tim Slomka.
I'm JP.
Thanks for joining us again. As always, we're on the journey to relive the new generation era to find the best and some of the worst of a wrestling time period often forgotten. Brent Shawn, Survivor Series 92. It's Brent Shawn, Survivor Series 97. We look beyond the pay-per-views, examine weekly TV, see what worked, what could have worked, and what failed. JP, how's life? How's the birthday boy?
Yeah, in the words of Uncle Leo, I'm an old man. I'm in my last year of my 30s, so it's a very eye-opening experience, I guess.
Right, so
yeah, it was good. Everything was good. Take the day off work. I guess that's like a frowned upon thing.
I think it's like common. Like,
yeah, so like everybody at my work's like, "Oh, you take the day off?" I'm like, "Yeah, bitch, I don't want to be here." Like, you know?
I think like my first job out of college, I worked at like Walgreens, and they gave us nothing. Right. Like zero benefits, like no benefits. The only thing you got was like your birthday. It was like you got 6 holidays and your birthday, and they like would use that then like, oh well, you don't get the day after Thanksgiving off because you got your birthday off, and like, oh, you don't get 4th of July off because you got your birthday. It was just like, all right. But I kind of assumed it was like everywhere, and even like I thought it was. I think it's more common way back. Yeah, now it's like, yeah, get to work. Like maybe someone on a call will say like happy birthday, and it's like, but. Yeah. It doesn't give you excuses to slack for a day. So
yeah, I just don't like the whole idea of getting up at like 4:30 in the morning on my birthday. So you
sleep in.
Exactly.
Yeah, and watch some WWE, right? So
yeah,
maybe. Yeah, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So should we get on to our final? Anything else we want to bring up before we get to?
I think we're good. I think it's a quiet sports time of year.
I know it's just depressing.
The trash part of the year. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say it's the weather part of the year of like just cold too, but we won't discuss what your weather. Probably 60 degrees and you're complaining. So
no. It was. It's actually gonna be 30 something tomorrow. So
all right.
We actually have. Well, it's only like that for one day, then it goes back up to like 80. So
yeah, you guys will still complain. So
yeah.
All right. All right. Yeah, Florida in general, but
right.
I mean, it was -5 to start Tuesday on this week. So to start the day, and then today I was on a work call and I was kind of like, I just took the dog out. It's like 8 degrees and it's a warm 8. I'm like, it's a warm 8 degrees. Like you kind of feel it. It feels good. You just get a little sweat with your hat on. Like it's a good 8 degrees.
I'm a cold boy. I like the cold, but that's brutal. Holy shit.
-5 was rough. The Tuesday morning, just like that you can't. I don't care who you are. Like you can't.
Right.
That's just like your face feels it, right? Like just.
Yeah.
So.
Like, you know how like white people wear shorts in the cold? Like you can't even wear shorts.
No, I couldn't. I couldn't. I mean, I'm pretty 40s in shorts, but I couldn't pull that off. So. Yeah. All right, let's move to some WrestleMania preview. So we're the final weekend before WrestleMania. So kind of unique setting here. We're going to do Sunday Night Slam, which is their special. And this might be the last one ever.
It is. Yep.
Yeah. So, and obviously they go to a different format they start, Heat starts up pretty soon it's, what's the show before? It's not Heat. There's something else before.
Damn it.
Now I feel like a bum, but they started a show before, right? I think that maybe starts at Rumble 96. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Free for all.
The
right?
Free for all. Yep.
Free for all. Yeah. So they kind of replace that as the lead up versus these kind of like week before. So we got a Sunday Night Slam, then we got a Raw, which is random because they didn't tape anything. So it's just highlights with one match that they didn't show on the Sunday Night Slam. I'm guessing they just taped. Like the way they taped it must have been like, hey, we got too much time for one show, so we'll jam this, split up the shows.
Right.
And then we got a quick Superstars. It's just a recap show with Vincent King. This one's kind of lamer. The one that we first started, they did one out of Caesar's Palace where they're like literally at Caesar's Palace, like where the limo's pulled up, like so cool. This is just like them in the production truck. Like it's really lame. There's no real anything to it compared to that, like the WrestleMania 9 one where they literally had like Giant Gonzalez show up out of his limo. Like it was way cooler. This was
more of a theme.
Yeah, more of a theme. And just like, you had more guys. This was just promo package. So that's what the plan for this week's show. So it'll be a little shorter, but then next week we'll be on WrestleMania 11. So Sunday Night Slam. So this is taped on the last Raw taping. So they they kind of jammed 2 Raws in there, plus the Sunday Night Slam, plus the Bret match. So pretty long taping out of California. So we started with a really cool highlight package where they kind of have like an empty arena, and they show Luger and Tatanka each in the cage, just talking with no people, and they're each individually just talk about cage match, how dangerous it is. Tatanka starts talking about going off on his history and how people have stolen his land. I thought it was a really good like intro, a different promo. It was kind of like those black and white ones they kind of doing a little bit right now. So I really like that setup. And then you're gonna say something? Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I like when they do stuff like this. Like I know like especially nowadays with the whole WWE is cinema kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's going online, like where people just you have like the section of people that hate WWE because it's like acting, and then they love AEW because it's wrestling.
Yeah.
I like both. I like a little bit of this seasoning on your steak, I guess. Like a little bit of something else. Like I don't like just wrestling. I like everything all together. So when they do stuff like this, I think it's a nice little touch that adds to it.
Yeah, it was definitely very cinematic, and it was well done, and both guys did pretty well. So unfortunately, we get Vince McMahon on commentary with Jim Ross. It's just a rough pairing. 2 faces. You got Ross not in his play-by-play things where he is best, right? And Vince, we've kind of been struggling with Vince a little bit. The only time I really like him is when King is just making fun of him, but it's just play-by-play is really rough. So we start off with Bob Backland versus Double J. So this is kind of the random one that we talked about last time where Double J tried tricking Harwitz into getting a title match. Harwitz somehow put the chicken wing on him and then signed the contract. Again, not sure how it's legal, but we kind of get this random match out of nowhere. This match is rough. As far you got heel versus heel, so the crowd just doesn't talk. They try to build up like Backlund as being controversial, which he really hasn't been, right? They've treated him as like a crazy man, but they never talk like how he's controversial. So like I think that's going to lead to like his next, what they were thinking for his next thing. So they're trying to put that over already. I've kind of put, why is this match even happening? We get Rhodey interfering in it. So like the crowd is kind of cheering for Backlund, but I'm not sure they're supposed to. There's a nasty pile driver in the match that I thought was really dangerous, given kind of 2 guys. I know, Double J has used the pile driver, but like dangerous kind of leading this close to, a guy that was just your champion 3 months ago.
Yeah.
But we get Backlund gets the crossface on a Double J, and the crowd starts going nuts. But then we get Razor breaking it up, which makes sense, right? Razor wants the title at WrestleMania. So he breaks up the pin, kind of similar to what we saw at Royal Rumble with the Bret Diesel match. Then it becomes a 3-on-1. You get Backlund, Double J, Rhodey, all attacking Razor. Then Bret Hart, for some reason, comes out. I know he's fighting Backlund, but it's just random that Bret Hart comes out before 1, 2, 3 Kid. Crowd erupts. And this is really good. This is kind of stuff we've liked when they do like Survivor Series where everyone kind of comes out. And then 1, 2, 3 Kid comes down. Big pop for him and does his karate kicks and gets the guys eliminated. But, pretty cool. Razor and Bret in the ring together, a pairing you normally don't see. The match makes no sense. The end was kind of hot. And it kind of sets up 2 WrestleMania matches, right? Bret Backlund and Razor Double J. Again, Kid's just wasted in this role. I assume he wasn't injured because he kind of is moving all around fine. So, disappointing that, 1, 2, 3 Kids doing nothing on the Mania card. And I guess maybe they're going to think about them for tag team, but Razor's not a guy that needs a tag team. So fun, okay opener, just the crowd didn't care. It doesn't really make sense, but led to a fun beatdown.
Yeah, what this finish did was made me wish that it was a like a 6-man tag. Like I wish it was Bret, Razor, and Kid versus Backlund, Jarrett, and Rhodey. Like that probably would have made more sense.
Yep.
Like you could have a little Rhodey Kid feud, which ends up happening eventually. But like I just think, like you said, not having Kid involved kind of sucks. At least give him a bone here with like a match or something. But matchup was very weird. The dynamic sucked. I think like the rose or the bloom on Backlund's rose is pretty much done now. Like that, his whole like what we liked when he snapped and all that. Like that's long gone. He's kind of just wore off now. So kind of want to see him kind of fade out, I guess. And he might actually. I don't really remember if he does or not, but.
I don't know. Yeah, well, it'd be interesting to see because, again, and this comes up more later, it really feels like a Takeshi Lawler that should be in this, not Backland.
Right.
And,
It was almost weird seeing Bret make the save because like he's got the Owen match coming up.
yeah.
And then, like he's more involved with Lawler and Hakushi, like storyline wise.
Yeah.
But then it's like, oh yeah, he's got the Backland match. That's right. So
that's why my note is like, where's 1, 2, 3 Kid? Why is Bret here? And then
right.
1, 2, 3 Kid does come, but it's like, why did he? It really just didn't make sense.
Right.
And it does, like, okay, he's fighting, but Bret, we've talked about this, is like fighting like 6 guys at once right now.
Yeah.
It's just a little too much, right?
Well, that's his. I mean, if you think about it, that's like his 95 in a nutshell. Like it's going to be Jean-Pierre Lafitte. It's going to be Hakushi. It's going to be Isaac Yankem. It's going to be Diesel. It's going to be
DDS. Please give him.
Isaac
sorry.
Yeah, right. I don't want to ruin his credentials there, but yeah. I mean, it's everybody. There's no sticking point. They just really put him like in the utility player role, which was very weird. So yeah. So from there we do get like a LT video package, like talking about being the meanest guy in school and just like built up for him and Bigelow. I love like this could be like a YouTube video of like all their clips combined like into the match. And I think it would be a great like piece to watch because I just really did not expect to love this feud as much as I do.
It's been really well done.
Right, and I'm like really excited to see the match after the build up now. Like I've seen the match before, and I've during WrestleMania season you go back and watch WrestleMania, so I've seen it like cold or whatever. But I don't think I wasn't quite watching every single week in this era, so I don't really remember like all this build or if I did, I didn't appreciate it as much. So
I remember the build. I remember the build and kind of being like, oh my God, I can't believe they're fighting. But I don't remember it being this good, right? Like I kind of remember it coming out of nowhere, like, oh man, they're gonna, fight. But I thought it was the build has just been excellent. Maybe it doesn't get talked about it much, right? Like of how good it is.
Well, yeah, because like it gets mentioned in the same like Andy Kaufman reign or Floyd Mayweather, like as a celebrity match. They think of it as just a match, but really is a lot that has went into it. Or you'll see clips of like the Rumble where they push each other and that's it. You don't see all the other stuff. So it's been pretty good. So then they follow that, as what they've been prone to do with a Bigelow match versus Sione. So I thought this was pretty cool too because it's like a nice little Haas battle here. I don't think we've seen Sione like in a one-on-one match.
Nope.
Like since I don't know if we've seen Barbarian at all
since 1990.
Right, like 91, right? Like wasn't he at WrestleMania 7 with the antlers?
But that was tag team.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Versus the Rockers. Yeah, so I don't know. Right, you might be right. It might be like 90 as a singles match. Oh, that's crazy. So yeah, good. I wonder if he was employed by them the whole time and just on the shelf. Because 92
was he? He's in WCW.
Oh
somewhere.
No, he was. You're right. Sorry.
Yeah, somewhere. I don't think.
Yep.
Somewhere he was right.
Jack. He was with Cactus Jack for like a year in like 92. And he's
somewhere in there.
There. Yep, you're right.
And then it feels like a lot of these guys go to ECW somewhere along the way, right? Like,
Oh,
Tito shows up.
Awesome.
I don't know if he did, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of these guys just randomly, kind of appear there. So I don't know. Again, I'm not saying he did, but it feels like a lot of the guys just kind of, where were they? Like, oh yeah, ECW. He would have been, he might have been a Japan guy too, right, for a little bit. So
yeah, so I mean, so it was just cool to see this. Like, this is a nice little novelty match. And I even have in my notes, we need more singles Sione matches. So he hits like this huge power slam on Bigelow. Which one thing I like about Bigelow is like he's not afraid to bump for at least like the bigger guys like Sione. He's not gonna go eat him up. So that was pretty cool. Sione ends up going up top and like misses a headbutt, and then Bigelow hits like this enziguri, like his little like cartwheel looking enziguri, which is pretty cool. And then he hits a crossbody for the win. So what's weird is this match kind of positions Bigelow as a babyface. Which I know they're like trying to lead towards, but going into the match, he's like the bully. You want him to be like the heel. So I kind of wish he would have fought like a bigger face guy, like maybe Adam Bomb or something, or I don't know, somebody with a face. But I do appreciate this match for being what it was, a little Haas battle, and it was pretty fun. So good stuff there from Bigelow.
Yeah, it was a fun match, kind of random. They even talk about how randomly. what's his name? The head triggers aren't there. No Captain Lou. So it's like random. So like, I don't know if it was the head triggers were the taping or they were thinking of doing it. It's just weird. They didn't go back to the Barbarian name or a different name. Like he's still in this head shrinker thing. So it's weird. And also after the match, like the $1 Million Corporation comes down to like celebrate with him. Kind of like to show like, hey, we're all behind him, which sets up nicely what's going to happen later. So I like that. I thought that was a unique thing because we haven't really seen that. Like, oh, the corporation's behind this guy. So I like that. Then we get, I have to do this. We get a Diesel promo. I put boring interview. He's just very bland. Like I know I hate Diesel and I hate 95. Like it's when I was like hottest into wrestling and it's like, he just stinks it up. And then bad. He just talks up Sid versus Shawn Michaels and they really don't talk up like Shawn Michaels. It's really more Sid. And even on Sid, like Sid's done nothing. Like I thought he was more involved and like more of a menace, and he's really not been involved. So then Shawn comes out after Diesel talks for a while and just says that no one brought him to WWF. It wasn't Diesel, it wasn't Sid. So it kind of shows like the dissension. I wonder if they thought, I think they thought like, okay, Sid and Shawn will break up because it'll be Diesel. I think Diesel, Sid, too many S's. Diesel Sid on the house show, I'm guessing they were thinking. So they're probably starting the dissension a little bit there between Shawn and Sid because it was kind of interesting. But really a nothing promo. The crowd really doesn't care. So it was kind of disappointing. It just kind of so consistent on what we've seen from Diesel so far.
Right. I mean, not only is he newer, but like I've been falling asleep to like a lot of 92 Saturday nights. And that's what made me like I couldn't believe I forgot about Barbarian WCW. But like Diesel as Vinny Vegas was coming along, or Kevin Nash as Vinny Vegas, he's coming along promo wise. He was actually pretty funny, and then he turns into that like once he's at the NWO. So and they just kind of neutered him, like just trying to force this like Hulk Hogan good guy vibe on him. It just didn't fit at all, and I don't know, maybe he just didn't have the balls to speak up, or maybe he just said, hey, they're giving me the title already, I might as well keep playing. But it's so bland, like you said, and it's like Sid and Shawn are way more exciting, way more interesting than Diesel right now, so that's not good for the champ.
Agreed. You want to take next
so then we go to our main event of the evening, which is going to be Lex Luger versus Tatanka in a cage match. Feels like this should be a WrestleMania match. Feels like this is way too late, and feels like these are two guys not in the correct roles still. So like, I don't know, it's just weird. But that being said, this does kind of start off kind of fun. Like Luger's a house of fire early. I'm still kind of a fan of the blue cage matches. I know a lot of people don't like them. There's some little bit of nostalgia there, but it's also like, not everyone has to be a War Games cage match, right? Like you can have different styles and different ways of doing things. Like people don't like the escape the cage rules. I like it because it's different. Like if you want to see the bloody WCW stuff, that's what if I'm in the mood for that, that's what I'll watch. But this starts off kind of cool. Like there's some clothesline stuff, and he starts like bashing Tatanka into the cage, which was kind of cool. Tatanka's like bumping all around for him. And then Luger like misses an elbow, like it goes for like this big elbow drop, and Tatanka starts kind of crawling for the door. So I've always liked that like anxiety that builds up when like you see the guy crawling for the door. I like that. Like that
he never gets it, but it's good. Yeah, he never gets it, but it's good.
Right. It's good. It's good crowd participation.
Yes.
Yeah. It gets them into the match. So I really thought the crowd was also pretty hot for this too. So
yeah, they definitely
being pretty good. Yeah, and then like Tatanka rams Luger and like into the cage, and then he starts to climb. So that's like, oh shit, is the heel gonna win? Luger kind of gets him up, and then Luger ends up hitting like this is pretty cool for him. He hits like a second rope forearm.
Yep.
And ends up pinning him for the win. So they're building around like is the escape part gonna be the part that wins, or is it pinfall? And they end up with the pinfall. And what I thought was a pretty solid match. Would have liked this to be on WrestleMania, because I think if they could have done this on Mania, it would have made 11 a lot better show.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get to it. 11's undercard is just so weak.
Right.
And this would have been a nice random. It was pre-days of, now it's kind of like they kind of always have like one gimmick match, right? Like a ladder match and just something different, right? Something else to kind of get in there versus just like 7 straight singles matches, or like I think it would have been a nice thing. This feud has been built. They spent so much time on it. It's nice that Luger wins clean, kind of like it's not $1 Million Man. There's nothing to it, so it kind of puts him over. But again, Luger's going to go nowhere, so it's kind of like, okay, what was the point? Maybe you take Tatanka and let him win and start like a heel run, especially if you're trying to build up the corporation. But again, this just shows you the corporation is just a bunch of losers. And this just, again, is another loss for the corporation in 95.
Yeah.
It's just constant with them, right? They just can't.
I don't get how they've built up this fact. Like they almost take over the show with how much they're featured.
Oh, they're everywhere. Yeah.
And they are not put over at all.
No, yeah, I mean, they put over Bam Bam, right? But it was not against the real credible thing. Here's a big chance for Tatanka. Tatanka's not even then on WrestleMania, so it's like all this time is just wasted. So, it was fine. The match was good. The crowd was, like you said, was into it. They built this feud well. It's cool for the Sunday Night Slam. I mean, maybe that's what they're going for, is like a big match versus like Tatanka versus Kid or something like that. So I kind of get that a little bit, going for a big match, but this just feels like the Mania match. You maybe could have found something else here.
But like, okay, so you and I, we're week-to-week fans. They got us. Think if you're a fan and you're checking this out, right, and you're like, oh, should I buy WrestleMania? You watch this, you buy WrestleMania. Think of how disappointed you were.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Like, oh shit, I just paid.
And even if you don't watch this and you just watch WrestleMania, like it's just something different, right? Than like. I mean, God, who like watched who was like a casual sports fan, went there for LT, and I was like, oh man, these Blue Brothers are awesome. Like, I gotta start watching Action Zone. Like, it was the Sunday Night was good. There was good stuff, nothing groundbreaking, but I thought there was a really solid match. It's just sometimes the booking for Mania.
Right.
That's I think the only thing I have. Do I still got you? Sorry, my computer screen went dark.
Yep.
So we still got it. Okay. Just went black for some reason. The only thing we had was that they've been showing the Action Zone highlights during Todd's reports, where the Smoking Guns get attacked again by Men on a Mission. They go out there to apologize and beat them down, and they really put up that like basically Owen's gonna not be able to fight the Smoking Guns. So they really built this up. I actually don't remember in Mania if they even bring that up. So it'd be interesting to see if they show that, because I think that would have been a good idea of like that, but. It's very cool. So I kind of like that beatdown, and it's cool. So something different that we go there. So then we go to the Raw special. You want the Bret match, I'm assuming. So want me to apply to everything else? Okay. Yep. I just don't want to steal Bret from you. Don't want to get in trouble, especially birthday boy. So then we get again. This is tape from the same thing. So interesting that we get this kind of fake thing where Gorilla Monsoon and Jim Ross are in the arena, and Vince McMahon and Tom Pettingill, which again, a random pairing, are at the WWF studios. So it's clearly so Vince can keep the update on like things that are happening, right? And they taped Gorilla and Ross way before for the actual match. So they kind of go through match by match, everything. It's kind of interesting because I watched this second compared to the Superstars, that they lead off with the Diesel Shawn thing. Because one of my complaints on the SummerSlam thing is like, they don't even mention Diesel Shawn until like the end. So kind of interesting they lead it off here. So they do Diesel Shawn first. I thought they should have went LT. Like that's the big match. No one cares about Diesel and Shawn. LT's the big thing. So the first 15 minutes are Diesel Shawn. Then like we talked about, the promo package for LT, really well done. Then they get Razor and Jarrett, which is pretty good. And then they kind of have some quick taker recaps about his match versus Bundy. Nothing too much there. That feud has been dreadful too. And so you kind of get Taker having an interview, and that's kind of it. So the first 30 minutes of airtime is pretty much recaps. And then they keep talking about how the crowd's almost ready for the show. They really do a good job of like building up that like there's an anticipation for this match. I know it's a little silly because we know it's taped, but they did a good job of like, all right, the match is about to happen. Hang on. And then, again, it's a hard sell for Mania. It's a different way than doing it than the way they do now. But I thought it was okay. Again, the LT promo package is really well done. So that was good. And then we get to our main events.
Well, then there's also one quick thing with Ross backstage with Backland.
Yes.
It says he will deliver a cascade of chemical reactions.
Yeah,
Very weird of him to say. I think he's just flying off the cuff now. So.
and I think with Ross there, right? I think Ross like books him going forward, or
Yep.
kind of at this time. I think Ross was like his pet project, and
Mhm.
so I'm sure that's why he did that there. They probably shot that 30 times, and that was like the craziest one, right?
Right.
Like I'm sure,
Right.
just given some of the reactions he had. So I'm guessing that's why Ross was there for it, because it was kind of random.
Yeah, and one thing that really stands out with all these recaps is the LT Bigelow thing really is the only thing I'm interested in for Mania, which is crazy because like Diesel and Shawn, it's built up. The feud was cool because there was a tag team, but it just doesn't mean anything.
Yeah,
Shawn's
and
not really
Sid's been doing nothing. I mean, that's
right.
been one of my. I thought Sid was way involved. Like he
Me
is.
too.
He's had one interview, I think. That's it.
I don't know why he's like on the shelf since he's been around. It's so weird.
It's not even
like,
softball season.
right, and like Shawn's really not been a major player either outside of the Rumble. A couple little battle royal spots wherever he did, but and Diesel's looks very weak as a champion. It's just the booking has just been terrible. I'm not one to like delve into booking too much, but it just doesn't set the table.
No.
And this match, so we get Bret and Owen no holds barred. This was a highlight match of last year's Mania, and now it's on your Raw going into Mania into lesser matches. Owen's going to be a tag match. Bret's going to be a match with Backland. So it's just very weird how they did this. It kind of reminds you of last year they had this great match, but this year you're going to see some shit. So.
And they fought like 7 times already. So like,
right.
And Owens lost every single time.
Right. Like what is the purpose?
Besides,
who wants to
Mania.
see this?
Yeah. Besides the Mania, which now looks like an upset, right?
Right. Right.
Because like it looks like a fluke win because he's literally lost every time. So
exactly. So we get to this match, like you said, they built this anticipation, no holds barred match, which is we'll get into that as well. And Owen jumps Bret immediately, but Bret kind of like turns it around and backs Owen into the corner, which is a good spot. So like usually we see these matches with Bret and he starts selling immediately, which he's really good at. And this time he just kind of flips Owen around and he then hits this like sick DDT and like plants Owen and throws him outside. Owen starts to get some offense once they get back in and does his enziguri, which I like that they built this up as a consistent move for him, especially knowing what happens later in the year. But the athleticism with these two and like the timing is still so good. Like obviously they know each other so well, but it just really stands out. Owen eventually like exposes the turnbuckle, but he's the one that's reversed into it. And Bret starts kind of like breaking him down a little bit and goes for the sharpshooter, but then Owen pokes his eye. So there's your first little move. Exposing the turnbuckle and poking his eye is what makes this no holds barred, I guess.
Yeah.
Which is trash.
And one stair shots.
Right.
Like,
right. So then now the exposed turnbuckle with his eye poked, Owen throws him sternum first, which is I always love seeing that bump from Bret.
Yeah, he does the best. Yep.
It's so awesome. Owen goes for a drop kick, but Bret kind of sidesteps, slingshots him into the turnbuckle, which I thought was a good little moment there, little sequence. Then locks on the sharpshooter and wins. Holds on the sharpshooter a little longer for like an edge to kind of, remind us of the submission match coming up, which is neither here nor there because I'm just not looking forward to that at all. But yeah, it was a pretty good match. We've seen, like their kind of run-of-the-mill playbook match that they have now. Solid stuff, but I kind of want their feud to end. I'm more interested in Bret versus Lawler, to tell you the truth. Like I'm not really interested in seeing them two anymore. But for a standalone match, I thought it was pretty solid. Yeah,
it was fine enough. It meant nothing though. They hadn't built this up at all. It just randomly at the end of the Raw was like no holds barred. There was no holds barred. The in-ring was, fine enough. It's a 3-type match, but it's just kind of like a nothing match. On there, it's supposed to end the feud, but literally Owen's gonna say at Mania that this is why he's bringing in Yokozuna. So it's like the feud's done over. Right. Owen still is like hasn't won it since WrestleMania. So it's just like, okay, what's the point? Like you mentioned on that. So it was good. Like I said, the in-ring is 3. The guys know what they're doing. Right. But it's just kind of like, okay, it is what it is. Should we move to Superstars?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Superstars, we can recap pretty quickly. So it's April 1st, so it's the weekend of WrestleMania. They probably taped it that weekend. to kind of give a little better feel for the show. So it's just a recap show with Vincent King in the studio. Recapping one by one each match. They're all promo packages, so they talk before, then show the Top Pinnacle promo package. The LT one again is very well done. This one's a little different than the Raw one, so they've kind of intermixed some new stuff, but the whole thing is really well done. So they go LT, IC title, Bret and Backland, and then in 26 minutes, I take notes. Then they finally bring up Diesel and Shawn, and my notes say the same thing. Like I thought Sid would be more into this. Like he came out twice. Right. And did nothing. Like Shawn hasn't fought. Like it's just kind of really disappointing. They show an interview with Diesel, and it's funny that they talk about him as the year of Diesel for '95, and I'm like, that almost bankrupts the company. Yeah. Like it's just off to the wrong start with him. Like you said, he's not funny. He's not charismatic. He's very. The crowd doesn't even buy into him that much. Like, I don't know. I don't think he gets that big of pops when he comes out. Well, no. I'll be interested in Mania. Like, it's not like huge pops. Like,
right. I'm a Kevin Nash fan, and I cannot defend this. Like, yeah. It's bad.
Yeah. So, that's kind of it for that match. Then, they do talk about this is why they did it. They have, clips from Fan Fest. I think it was from last year, but, talk about the Fan Fest and pretty cool things there. Like I was definitely very jealous of that. Like you get to call your own match, and they had the sumo wrestlers, so really cool there. And then they kind of get the last match they bring up. So is Undertaker versus Bundy. So they kind of go into that. Really talk about the urn. The urn being so big is so ridiculous and funny. But it's kind of interesting. No mention of Luger. No real mention of Owen during this. It's fine enough, especially if we hadn't watched we watched, the Raw right before it that was kind of the same, promo packages. There's not much here, but it was well enough done. It just kind of very bland, like I said, compared to the WrestleMania 9, where they were literally at that, the WrestleMania 6, where they're in like the CNN tower, I think even 7, they're outside of the LA Coliseum. Like they're just way different. And this one's just like in the studio, like it's nothing, not even at WrestleMania. It's hard, again, it's Hartford. It's not the glamorous place, but it just feels very like stale and very like poorly and cheaply produced.
So like for our show, this kind of show isn't really conducive. Like it's just a bunch of recaps. But like if you're kind of a kid or something, you don't get to see every single show. These these kind of episodes do hold a little bit of value, and kind of like recapping you of everything what's going on. At least, so if you're into it all, like as a kid, you like all this stuff. Like you don't worry as much about match quality, but you're kind of like, oh yeah, Razor's gonna fight Jarrett for the IC title, like Bundy versus Taker, which I probably didn't like back then, but yeah,
no one's excited for that.
Yeah, looking at it now, it's just more of a reminder of how shitty WrestleMania 11 is gonna be. But I literally am only looking forward to one match on this card, and that's the Bigelow LT match. As far as the build goes, like I don't remember every match. I don't think there's anything that's going to surprise me, but I literally I'm only looking forward to that match right now.
Agreed. Yeah, that's the one they built up. It's been an A+ build up. Like I will give them that. Like that build up is very,
it might be one of the best builds we've had since we've started this, which sounds really crazy. But like
maybe Bret and Owen might be the only one better.
Yeah, that's probably right. That's probably especially from the Rumble and how that played out since Survivor Series. But I can't think of another, big main event match that had as good of a build.
Yeah, agreed. All right, so we move on to awards then.
Yes, sir.
All right, we're gonna be kind of limited here. I'm picking so most new gen outfits.
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with just like, it's kind of weird to say this, but like some of the highlights had the NFL guys, their little track jackets on and stuff. Yeah. I'm going to have to go with that.
Yeah, tracksuits. I think that's tracksuits.
I'm a sucker for tracksuits.
Yeah, man. All of them. Even I would go with that too. Reggie White had like a lot of like brown 90s, the brown color. It's like, oh man, rough. Most new gen performer.
This is a guy I usually would never pick, but I'm going to have to go with Luger. I really thought he played to the cage and to the crowd in that match and did pretty solid there.
I'll go to Bam Bam. He looked solid versus Sione. He got the win. The corporation came out afterwards. I thought it was pretty cool. I'll go with him. I thought it was a cool moment for him, and obviously building up to the main event. Anything worse match or segments?
I mean, there wasn't anything like. It wasn't really anything bad. I guess I'll go with the Jarrett Backland match just because it didn't make sense.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Diesel interview. Like that was just not very good. I think when Shawn came out, it was better. Shawn wasn't still great because again they have no chemistry. But I just that was kind of rough.
Mm-hmm.
Best match or segments?
I like the Luger to Tonka. I thought it was fun, but I guess the best one would be the Bret Owen.
Okay.
Holds barred match.
I'm going to go the LT promo packages. Just so they were different. They were kind of all energetic. They spliced in, and we didn't really talk about it much, but they had Chris Spielman and Reggie White talk. Like they've spliced in some of the things, even that hot comma. Steve McMichael was in there. So obviously they've been updating it. So I thought it was pretty good. Anyone stock up?
I'll go LT. Actually, I don't think I picked him. I think I picked Bigla. I'll go LT because I think he's really bought in. He's not just the celebrity. He's bought into the whole, trimmings and everything that goes with wrestling. So I like that.
I'm trying to think of anyone else. Man, we had so much Mongo last week and no Mongo. He's almost want to go stock down for no Mongo. Right. I'll go Bret Hart just because the pop he got when he came out for the Razor match, like that was huge.
Yeah.
And then looking strong versus Owen, and that was a decent match. Again, it makes no sense, and he's just kind of all over the place on these shows.
Right.
For a guy that's like in the 9th best feud of WrestleMania.
Right.
So, anyone stock down?
It's easily Diesel for me.
Diesel, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go the Mania build. Besides LT, just because we talked about it so much, it's kind of been dreadful.
It's a good call. Yeah.
So just disappointing. There. All right. So next week or 2 weeks from now, we'll be at WrestleMania 11 at Hartford. We're not giving the greatest pub right now for it. We'll see. People talk it's the worst Mania ever. Mania 2 and 1 and 9 have some 32. Maybe have some words to say with it, but we'll see. We'll try to give it a fair slice. I remember liking the last 2 matches might be good and the LT or the Owen match is pretty, memorable, but we'll try to give it a try. We'll try to watch it fresh, the whole presentation and feel if it. One of the things that'll be interesting is does it feel like a WrestleMania given it's a smaller arena and the sets aren't there yet. It'll be interesting to kind of see that if it feels like it or not.
And for this not being a big WrestleMania, there is a lot of celebrity involvement.
They do, so. Yeah. And they brought that up throughout. We kind of skipped that because it comes up so much, but yeah, and they got legit stars, right? Jonathan Taylor Thomas at the time, and Salt and Pepper, and Jenny and Pamela are A+ models and even TV show hosts at the time. So they've done a good job of that. We probably undersold that of how much they've really invested into that. So we'll see. They're definitely heavy involvement into it. So good on them, and even LT and all the they got real NFL superstars. Reggie White and Spielman. They didn't get the bum, so they've done a real good job of that. So it'll be interesting to see how the whole presentation comes across. So we'll see everyone in 2 weeks, and thanks for listening to Rate and Review. We'll talk to you in 2 weeks for WrestleMania 11.
Yes, sir.
Bam, bam.